What's up, guys? It's Crash, and today Battlefield just tweeted out the feedback to us from the feedback to them, and it's a bunch of feedback that's being fed back in a 360 loop of feedback. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and take a look at this blog. I highlighted the stuff that I feel is important. We're going to take a look at it, get you guys the information quickly. Then at the end of the video, going to do a little bit of a reaction. But as always, guys, I really want to hear your reaction, what you think of all this down in the comments below. Is this enough to bring you back to the game? So let's see. Let's take a look at it really quick. Hopefully I highlighted the high points well enough for you guys. So on March 2nd, I highlighted that because it is now March 31st, and it took a complete month for this to happen. So they just kind of chilled out for a month to let this happen. So I thought that was just a really long time. I feel like feedback is a lot more easily obtained, but I'm sure they had to figure out what they could do, essentially, not necessarily just collect feedback. So that kind of makes sense, I guess. I'm just worried about the urgency of these updates given the current state of the player base. But anyway, talking about Traversal, our proposed solution is to reduce the overall travel time between these areas by moving them closer together. So I think this is really good. A lot of these changes are good, credit where credit's due. I feel like they're moving the base spawns up. They're kind of shrinking the play area. They're moving the base spawns closer to the initial flag, so there's not that massive way to run so you can get killed by a jet that loaded into the map before you did. However, you also shared with us, they're talking about kaleidoscope in this instance, and this is the image of it. Then they also talk about renewal. However, you've also shared with us that renewal is another map that really needs to see changes made to it. We hear you on that, and we're looking to deliver a refreshed version of renewal alongside kaleidoscope as part of season 1 this summer. So this stuff is coming with season 1 in the summer. These two map reworks for only these two maps. Yeah, essentially we can see images of what they're planning on doing by moving the base spawns much closer to the flags. Like, that's a lot closer, especially for renewal. I think that's good. Another thing with Traversal, there are more transport vehicles active on the map. Now, first off, you're like, but that means more bolts. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later. They're making bolts and attack helicopters no longer Traversal. They're going to turn those into attacks. So hopefully it reduces the number of those, but gives people more actual transport vehicles. In my opinion, anything you can put cannons on shouldn't have been called a transport vehicle in the first place. Increasing the number of active vehicles on the map isn't something we can do as a short-term solution, but this has the potential to impact our separate work of improving the game performance. So I highlighted this because we can see that they're still working on game performance. Again, something that I think needs to be fixed as soon as possible. The game performance is still incredibly rough on PC, at least. But we do hear you on this and want to know what we can do to approach the problem from different angles. Covering line of sight is the next thing. We highlighted that there aren't enough line of sight blockers. Essentially, like we've been saying since the beta, the maps are too open, introducing an unintended increase of the number of long range engagements. So what they're doing here is it looks like they're adding more cover to these maps, actually. So we can see over here on Kaleidoscope running up to these flags up to the buildings. It looks like they're adding a lot more connexes, boxes, forklifts. Over on B, I think this is B1, I'm not sure. On this flag closest to the spawn, they're adding military installment where the gazebo used to be, and then adding some rocks and elevation and stuff to give you a little bit more sight. Yeah, there's sector G1 where you can see they've added all these connexes and boxes. That's the original thing I was worried about. It looks like they're actually adding, and this is the elevation changes that they're adding, so you have a little bit more cover on that end. And then as far as renewal, looks like they've added connexes and stuff to the solar panels. You have to bear with me because I haven't played the game a lot in the last couple months, so if there's anything else you guys see, definitely point it out in the comments. I would love to know, for those of you that have been playing it a little more than I have. But yeah, it looks like they're adding more connexes, and I'm not sure what that is, but it looks like some kind of wall or something to give people a little bit more cover to run to. All good changes for sure. I really like this one. This was really good. Immersion is another point you've asked for us to look at it, often through discussion of how the maps feel too clean and pristine. Definitely. So what they want to do is make him actually feel more gritty and warlike by updating the gazebo on B1 into a military installment. Will replace grass with mud and cover the area in barbed wire to better immerse it into our world and bring improvements to the narrative of our battles. So I thought this was good. I'll open this in a new tab so we can really take a a look at this a little bit better. I think you can see around my head. Yeah. Right here is the military installment that's going to be new. We can see there's some mud and some impact. I don't see a ton of like the barbed wire and stuff. We'll just have to take their word on it, but we can definitely see the military installment. I think this is a great change because, I mean, we've all seen it. The maps feel too clean and kind of unfinished or rushed, as with the rest of the game. Then as far as intensity, combat can become too chaotic around objectives. Yes, the primary cause for this is vehicle dominance. This is what I was talking about earlier. So what they're going to do is take the active attack copters and vehicles down from 3 to 2. So that means you'll only be able to encounter 2 tanks and 2 attack helicopters at any time instead of 3. So taking attack vehicles down by a third. And then they're also moving the Nightbird from transport to attack. So putting that in that category that there can only be 2, as well as the Bolt. So they're going to let there be more transport vehicles and less attack vehicles, and they're moving those 2 vehicles into the attack category. So I think that's good. We saw many of you make the suggestion we restrict the call-in system to only light vehicles and Ranger. And for flag areas, you asked if we could make these larger to further spread out combat over this area. So this is 2 changes that the community kind of wanted to talk about, but they're not committing to them at this time. They go on to say that these are ongoing discussions and reviewing, and they want more feedback on that. So that's 2 possibilities, but it's not in the plans as of yet. So then we talk about paths. It says you'd like to see this improved by lining up cover in such a way that flows as a clear path between objectives. This is something we're looking to update once we finish moving base spawn and different flag locations closer together. So essentially this is kind of kicking the can a little bit down the road. Gonna go ahead and move the spawns first and then look at paths. A good example of what would be on E1 on renewal, which we are reviewing to become an out of bounds area to make immediate improvement pathing on that map. So you can see here, it looks like they're just that complete distribution center just across the wall in the south end of the map, like completely removing it from the map. And I think overall making the map smaller is definitely a good idea. I feel like the maps, we've said this a ton, guys, like the maps are way too big. Even though there's more players, they scaled the maps up just massively, and we all know that. We all see it. It's very, I mean, it's just well known. So then now, when can we expect those changes? And honestly, this is all this stuff up until this point has been great changes to me, and I commend them on that and still looking at it, but the timeline is what I'm worried about. So the first changes we'll make are to the vehicle play and availability. Those will be ready in the next update, which is set to be next month, as well as VoIP, attachment rework, and things like that. Flag base spawn locations, cover and line of sight on Kaleidoscope and renewal. These will arrive during season 1. So the map changes that we looked at in this blog will come season 1. That is sometime this summer. I'm worried about DICE timing being towards the end of the summer, as they always seem to bring stuff at the end of their proposed windows. I feel like that's just how they work. We're now getting started on bringing these same standards of updates to our other launch maps alongside needed visual changes to make all maps feel ready for battle. That is so good to hear, although this should have been done before launch. That's still frustrating to me. There's a lot of work involved in doing that, so you can expect us to start discussing more about those updates during season 1 and for changes themselves during season 2. So I guess once season 1 launches, they're going to talk about reworking the other maps, and then we should see those changes again in season 2, which we have no idea when that's going to be or how long away that is. And again, for work like this that should have been done pre-launch, it's just, in my opinion, this is way too late. And then the next thing, what are we going to talk about next? We know Specialist has been a major topic for you, and we're looking forward to sharing with you what we've planned to improve their gameplay and fit into the world of Battlefield 2042. So as far as Specialist, they said they're not going to do a core feedback blog post and like a consolidated place for feedback on Specialist. I'm sure those would be very colorful. But what they are going to do is, it sounds like they've already have plans on what to do with Specialist, and they're going to just kind of tell us what's going to go on. So I don't know if that's as much feedback loop as we're used to now, but it is something anyway. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it overall. I hope this gave you a brief overview of the important stuff that mattered. I tried to break it down quicker for you guys, and then at the same time, my reaction to this is these are all great changes and should definitely be commended. In my opinion, though, it's just too little too late for this game. We will definitely see. Definitely want to check them out when those updates eventually do arrive. but I just don't see it. The amount of content in this game and the fundamental design flaws, I just don't think this is going to be the update to bring all the masses, the Battlefield community back together on this game already back spread out across older Battlefield games and other games, other franchises. I don't think this is the big change that's going to bring everybody back, but it is something. It's not abandoned yet, and that should definitely be commended. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you later.